for today's topic because it's a very, very interesting topic. My name is Stephen Molindra, and once again, welcome to Africa Speaks. With me in the studio is Joe
Bedi
Kobina. I got that right. And okay, Coffee Cooler.
Yes,
thank you very much for coming to the program, both of you. One of the things that's disturbing Africa so much, I would repeat this again, the program is a very interesting program. It's Africa Speaks of today, and we have a topic here which is very interesting. Western democracy, is it good for Africa or not? Has it succeeded? I mean, ever since Africa gained independence, you know, decades ago, so many African countries have struggled to make ends meet as far as the democracy is concerned. And you can count on your fingers how many countries have succeeded as far as democracy is concerned. Questions are being asked every now and then. Should we, before the coming of the white man to Africa or the Western people to Africa, there was peace in Africa from reports that we had. Our forefathers lived peaceful lives. They were under kings, they were under queens, they were under, you know, various African chiefs as rulers, and Africa was peaceful according to the legends that we get from our close relatives. But the coming in of the 21st century, things changed. The 19th century, when most of the Western people came to Africa through slave trade and through other things, a lot of things changed. And then, obviously, democracy is one of the things that was invented, that came through, brought in, obviously, by the Western influence. And so many African countries claim to be democrats now. But the democracy that we are talking about is not leading us anywhere. There's a lot of problems in Africa. And some people now ask, should we go back to the 18th or 17th century method of being ruled by chiefs and so on, which were successful, or should we continue with this format which has failed? Kofi, can you give us a hint on this?
Yes, I mean, it's very interesting, and I think for you to come up with a topic like that, because this is something that has been going on in Africa for a while now. A number of challenges, and why we are where we are is the question. You know, if like you said, Western democracy, you know, if it's good for us or not.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, we have to start off with going back to dark ages.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, having tribal leaders, you know, warriors, you know, in Ghana we have people like Yasantua, you know, the Osekitas who fight, you know, and fight during the slave trade, you know, and after slave trade. The thing is that, to an extent, at that time, you know, civilization was not to an extent, you know, we was not reached that stage.
Okay.
We was happy the way we was, you know, we live as a family.
Yeah.
And the population was not as much as this, you know. So now, compared to that to now, whereby in the 21st century, the challenges coming up, you know, if you look at in those times, our way of living compared to now is a totally different thing.
Okay.
Now, white people came to our country. They came with the purpose to use us for work, for their own gain. Did we learn some of the skills that they brought after they left after independence?
Yeah.
It's something that you need to look at.
Yeah, okay.
They came there with the aim of war, using us to do their own businesses for their own gain.
Yeah, but look at it this way. They have it's over 200 years since, I mean, they've been here. It's not now, ever since they gave us independence. It's over, I mean, the oldest is Ghana. Isn't it 60 years?
1957.
57, yeah.
Yes.
Over a period of time, we've been independent all that long.
Yes.
So if we've been independent and we're governing ourselves,
this is why
have we failed?
Yes, this is why
I want to bring Joy in on this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You see, I always have an opinion that it is not the fault of the white man, but it is the fault of we, the Africans, who are not able to manage our life. And as a result of that, we are not prosperous because, well, 1957 up to this time, we've had hairstart upon hairstart upon hairstart.
Okay.
That at least we could just pick ourselves up and say, oh, hey, right, okay, what happened before didn't help us. Why don't we just start a new life? We got good leaders, then we get people, but so many problems are affecting us.
Such
as immigration.
Okay.
A young student finished university from primary one up to university. There's so many of them who has actually gone to school, right, and never even paid school fees on scholarship. They end up coming to live in the UK and give every idea, strategy, and everything down to the UK. It's not only UK, it could be Germany, it could be wherever country that
countries they go to, yeah.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, when we have democracy, part of the subset of democracy is educating our people to empower them.
Yeah.
But after we have educated our people and empowered them, they end up living in London, America, and other countries. Then obviously, you can't blame the white man, is it?
Yeah,
no,
but
because
can I come in here
okay.
with that point? You know, what I would say is that, do we actually study, although we have education system there, do we leave school with a view, or university with a view that we have studied in Africa? Due to the cheating system, in the way our education structure is, where exams are leaked, where lecturers, somebody can be in the UK, but they still get certificates in Africa that they have studied.
Oh, you're not talking about corruption.
No. Where because we go to school, for instance, in Ghana, Nigeria, in the Western Africa, exams leak is very common. So you may get wrong people who may finish school but still unlearn because of that corrupt system.
No, but what I'm trying to explain, sorry not to cut you, but what I'm trying to explain is that, you see, his point is whether it has helped us. And it has not helped us, yes, because so many issues, right?
Education is one of them.
And education is one of them. And that is why I'm talking about the fact that when we are educated, then instead of living in the country, we all, well, I believe we are all samples of the problem. Right. So instead of living in the countries, then we decide to just, you know, walk out of the country and give our services to the white man, as you think that they're not helping us.
No,
it is our fault.
Is it the case of the policies in the West, whereby they target skilled laborers, and which then attract people who they feel that, oh, instead of me living in this Ghana or in a village, you know, with my education, you know, with no support, if I will get the chance of where I'm attracted to a skilled labor in Canada,
paid more money,
where they will rather make that choice. But that is not the only one.
No. Just to make it simple, it is a problem with our leaders.
I want to come back to that, and I think that is where we need to hit the nail on the hammer. Our leaders, that is the problem. One Nigerian author once said that if there was a way, if African leaders were a kind of a breed of animal, maybe the West would have made sure that they are not bred anymore. They're discontinued from breeding because everybody comes in with a similar kind of ideas. He comes in, he say, I'm going to create jobs, I'm going to build hospitals, I'm going to build roads, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do. They all come in with the same concept. Others even go to war and fight and then take over. Others are, you know, military leaders. They take over and they said, this is what we're going to do. But the moment they reach the seat and they have the power, whatever they've said they're going to do, they don't do it. And we end up where we are. So that's what I'm saying. It's a question of an inbreed, something that maybe the way where we are raised. Because you can't find the Jews, for example, or the Japanese, or, you know, all these people. You find them that the structure, the system which they set up is there. The constitution is saying, hey, and it's A. Whereas in Africa, the constitution says A, and it's actually B or C. So somebody sits at the top, he does the opposite of what the constitution says. That's why I'm saying that could we start thinking in terms of if they are training in terms of who is going to be the next president? We train him, we train the ministers so that once they grow up, because Cuba tried this, they train everybody.
You mean training the ministers? Training
all the people who are going to be, if you are in Cuba, for example, if you have never gone through any of this political school, you're not given public office. And even China now is trying. A man like Trump would never have ruled, would never become president in China. Because in China, the system is such that if you've never been on a council, you need to raise from the village level, from the council to certain levels, and you reach a certain level where you become chairman of the party.
Yeah.
Yeah? But if you haven't gone through the stages up to the top, you can't just wake up tomorrow and campaign and become a leader. See, so my question is now, should we train our leaders in a different way?
Okay, right.
As young from the early age.
Yes. You see, our leaders are as human as everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And they also went through the same school system as
everybody,
the people.
Yeah.
So if the school system is failing us, then we end up getting failed leaders.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is where I always believe that. When we start from education, because in every developmental system, education is first and foremost.
All right.
Right. I don't mean, when I say education, I don't really mean that it is a formal school system, but it is civic campaign.
All right.
Which is very important. That the ideas, the kind of ideologies that we have in the society, we need to start changing them.
All right.
Right. Okay. If I could use Ghana, because I'm a Ghanaian, because, yes, if I could use Ghana as an example.
All right.
Right. In your period going to school, your main aim is to travel.
Okay.
Your aim is not to become a minister.
Ah, right.
Your aim is not to become a doctor in Ghana. You go to school, you always don't know what, well, when you are a kid, you always know, I want to be a pilot, I want to be this, I want to be that.
Yeah.
The moment you reach the secondary education,
right?
Okay, the whole, paradigm changes. Then you don't really know what you want to do. Then you get to the university. Then you know that, okay, when I get out of this university, I'm not going to get a job to do. So I need to go to the UK. I need to go to America. So it is that thing. Okay. The dropouts also find themselves also in the same situation. Where I know when we were, sort of growing up, those guys who could not pass the GCSE and stuff like that, all that most of them were aiming at is
to go abroad, to go abroad,
So at the end of the day, what kind of democracy are we trying to instill in the country? Where the democracy, the education being a subset of democracy, it is in itself has failed us. We have to look into it.
Okay. Education is part of it.
Yes.
But there are so many other factors that are affecting the failed democratic
I want to tackle it one after the other.
Yeah, because you're going to find that there's a tribal issue there. You're going to find that there is tribal issue is one of them. Another one is the fact that...
I would say that in terms of the failed leadership is inexperience. In fact, most leaders that we have, as our leaders. Now, you started off by saying that many Africans, maybe growing up, will have this idea
going abroad,
or perspective of going abroad. But politics is a choice. And it's an individual choice and preferences. So one thing that we don't realize is that people becoming political leaders, is not something that they have grown up to become that leader. They decide either they want to take that path or that route. And in many cases in Africa, I think this was the debate that does wrong people normally get into politics or not? It's a question that we need to ask.
Many people been through the education system, right? Who turns out to become the politicians, gets corrupt. The people who haven't been through the education systems, but think that politics is a way to make money, also corrupt the system. So at the end of the day, democracy is not really helping Africa as much as it's supposed to help, because democracy, the substance of all the institutions of democracy are all what? Corrupt.
So this is what I'm saying, that we have to look at it this way. Do we have the right people in politics? Now, the political science, people going to study politics at university, you know, what sort of lecturers we have there? Now, Africans are very funny when it comes to education. They kind of tend focus. I mean, the grade you need to go and do medicine is different to the grade you need to go and do politics.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Of course. Yeah.
So, do we kind of undermine an area which becomes an important area for us in our lives, in our everyday lives, because we need our leaders? So one, the issues are the caliber of people who becomes our leaders, and either how experienced they are in terms of being through the system, learning the process, like you was talking, give an example of China or here. Here we can say that, oh, okay, John Major was in conservative government, and he went through the system. You know, and worked hard through their central office for years. So he learned. Can we say that here, which is a question mark? Then we also have issue about creativity, innovation. You know, innovation is issue in our country.
When I started, when we started, or rather, when I started. One of the things that I pointed at is that, okay, we have very little information, historical information about Africa being very peaceful in the 18th century or in the 17th century, before the slave trade and so on. Very little, because Africa was not, they didn't write much. So our history, as far as that is concerned, you know, is not that much. But we can still get hints and here and there about, for example, the way the Zulus in South Africa were when the British landed there, in my country, in Uganda, in 1888, I think, when the British arrived there, you know, they talked about Sir Huntington, I think. He wrote something, Stanley, wrote something so nice about what he found, how the system was established, and how people were living peacefully. You know, okay, there were occasionally tribal fights here and there, but under the king, under the chiefs, we had very good. You know, Africa was peaceful. Now, democracy is a foreign thing. It appeared suddenly, and anyone can become president. So anyone who becomes president, suddenly you have the power, you have the money. Long time ago, the chiefs, for example, they've been raised as a son of a chief. So suddenly you're not. It's not something that's just pushed to you. You're a son of a chief. You've grown up watching your father as a chief, or your father as a king. So you end up being a chief, or you end up being a king, you know, because you've gone through the stages. Now, democracy, in a sense, it brings in a leader who's been never tested leadership at all. He's been maybe managing here and there. Then suddenly he's in a political office. He's a big man, and he has all the powers in his hands. So the structure then, that's why I keep coming back and saying, should we readdress what happened in the 18th century and start from there, maybe to build up? Because
that's a very good point.
Should we address it and start from there?
Yes, I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Second, I always believe that democracy by the Western style is, for Africa, is bound to fail.
Why?
Right. Because just as you gave the example, we had our own institutions set thousands of years during our existence before democracy came. I do not say democracy in itself as one man, one vote and freedom of speech, all the principles of, you know, the basic principles of human rights and other, you know, substance of democracy is not good. It's good. But, you see, that is what leaves the corruption for our leaders to sort of
to abuse it,
right? So I believe always that we as Africans should look at our institutions again and see how best we can design our own form of democracy.
Okay.
If I mean our own form of democracy, I don't mean that we should throw what the white has given us away, but Well, I don't know who doesn't believe that China is is practicing democracy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's a democratic state.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because China as a country has realized that the people and their nature, this is how they can rule them. At the end of the day, they are one of the biggest economies in the world.
Exactly.
That's all about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So always, what I always believe is that we have to, as much as possible, design what we think is good enough
good for you,
to help us.
Yeah.
Do we reflect? I mean, what I would say is that, do we reflect on our mistakes? You know, organization learn from experience, and then they move on, improving organization.
But we're always making the mistakes.
This is
like some kind of cycle.
So therefore, there has never been any report about the areas that we struggle and how we address our areas. And just like in the UK here, where you have spin doctors, you know, whereby government, they becomes like they support the advisors, you know, supporting government to, you know, the mistakes, the same mistake we are making. For instance, I'll give you an example. For instance, I mean, a road contractor will have a road to do the road.
To build the road,
That's it. Now, to build that road, it won't take even 3 months or so. The road will then, you see potholes everywhere. But this has been the case for years since growing up. The hospitals are the same. So what the main political parties that we have in Africa, what are the learning experience of this? You know, do we reflect at the universities? What are the universities telling the students?
They're always teaching practical stuff.
That's it.
Well,
so the learning experience.
They're always teaching practical stuff.
So this, we need our approach in terms, because now we are living in the 21st century where globalization and competition is spreading around the world. And it's an area where we Africans are lacking, in the sense that our government are not promoting things which benefit us for less to learn. Because the more one learn, the better they become. You learn by doing. But we are not learning from our mistakes. We're doing the same mistakes over and over again.
This is
from government to government to government to government.
This is what I keep saying. Is if the structure, if the format is wrong, and it's wrong, and it's continuing, it's been like that for the last 50 years, then we need to change it.
The foundation is
the
existence of the foundation is
the only way we can change it is either get everybody else, get all the politicians out of the way, kill them off or something.
Oh, well,
we don't do that. Well, of course we can't do that. We can't do that. But get them all out of the way. That's one thing. And get new breeds of people coming in. You start building on the younger ones, knowing that the next generation that will come.
Well, programs like this also
because it has,
we have to sensitize people anyway.
Because
so
the next, no, of course, I was joking. But the idea is that simply say, for example, retire all the MPs who are above 60, 70 years old, get them out of the system, and get in the young people who are in their early 20s. Who have gone through the IT, who have gone through all the system, and then start watching, And one other thing would be using the power of the media. The media is not used in Africa efficiently.
Well, it's used in Africa,
but not in the right way.
That's what I'm saying. It's not used not in the right way. In a sense that, say, for example, if you know that a man somewhere is corrupt, straight away run to the media, get this story out. And then investigation begin. And then, so that if most of the things start being in public domain, the chances are there's always going to be somebody who will say, why isn't this, road not done? Why isn't this hospital lacking medicine? So somewhere along the way, if it's in public domain and it's constantly being, reported on, then those concerned will start fearing for their jobs. But the problem that happens is that the media may reach something, try to reach it, and then the politician kill it off. Either they deal with the editors, the story is killed off, and they continue with their corruption. So that's what I'm saying. It's not dealt with in...
I'm happy you're talking about the media. You see, what I would coin it to be is media vigilantes.
All right.
Right? All right. Which I really do support that so much.
Okay.
Right. Okay. In Ghana, there's one called Anas, right? Who I'll call him a media vigilante.
Yeah, all right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate he's also been fired back. That whilst he thinks he's not corrupt, he's not. No, well, whilst he thinks people are corrupt, he himself is corrupt. There's no proof to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but what is that we expect a lot of those kind of people.
Yeah, to come out.
One, the police. It should be a country where you get undercover media men working against the police. Here in this country, it's not because the police, if he gets the bribe, he won't take.
No.
But it is just because he doesn't know who is giving the bribe to him.
Exactly, yeah.
Every human being is bound to make mistakes.
Yeah,
even whoever, so long as you are born of a woman, right, you can easily just get attracted by anything.
Yeah.
But when the laws are there and which people implementing it are good enough, then there's peace. There's order.
Okay.
Here in this case, where in Ghana laws are not working, you know, ministers can do whatever they want.
They're above the law, yeah.
Yes, Anas, which I think you know him, goes out there to do his investigation, and someone just rise up and say, hey, right, okay, I like that, right? This one says A, that one says B. At the end of the day, if you want to talk about someone who is cheating, then you can cheat.
Yeah.
That's fine. We need that kind of situation in Africa, not in Ghana alone, in Nigeria and every part of the country, every part of the countries in Africa.
Okay.
The only way we will be able to address that is if we deal with issues about ethnic discrimination. You know, what I meant by that, when people knows that one is doing wrong, but because of their tribe, they turn a blind eye. So therefore, they may know that you are doing wrong, and it's very common in terms of the way Africa, our politics is. You know, it becomes like a family friendship, and therefore it makes it very difficult when one is doing wrong, other people to rise against them. Now, the whole structure needs to be addressed in terms of things, because we live in Africa, things happen there. Police may not.
You mean the whole structure of governance?
The whole structure of governance needs to be revisited in the sense that things happen that is a responsibility of the police. For example, it could be a pastor or anybody will come out and make blasphemous statement, and no one take that person into account.
Yeah.
Everybody, the government don't do it. The police, which is their responsibility, don't do it. So whose role, whose responsibility is what? Has become an issue there.
Yeah.
And in that way, people are getting away in the system because in terms of leadership and then making decision, a bold decision, for instance, police making sure that no one is above the law. There are some people who live in Africa who feel that they cannot be arrested. Now, how do you address a country moving forward and then blaming your colonial masters for our mistakes when we ourselves we are not able to address these things ourselves?
That's exactly what I was telling you about.
Can I come back to this? There's something called the national interest. It's a major thing. China addressed it, Cuba addressed it, and I think New Zealand and Australia have addressed it. It's something that is quite common, and it's called, when you look at national interest, something which is in the interest of the whole country. Australia has been addressing it in such a way that if you're going an Australian and you're traveling abroad, you are warned, said, don't bring back A, B, C, D. Because if you bring back seeds or you bring back something that might interfere with our system here, we could get rabies, we could get this, we could, they are shown in interest of the, of their countries that don't do this. Because if you do it, it will not only end with you, it might end with the whole country suffering because of a plant that has come in and has disease or something like that. So there is that educational level of a national interest. And China is doing it now, saying, look, we are sending you abroad, we're even giving you money, but money should come back. Somebody was reading a China report and he was saying, look, all Chinese now being sent abroad, there is that national interest at heart. We are sending you money, we're doing this, but
we do it.
Money should come back.
We do it.
They don't go back.
That's it. The amount of scholarship we give.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to explain here is the reason why we don't do it. We do it because the educational level of national interest was never put into us at a younger age.
Even before
let me give you an example. When you grow up in a family, you have a father, you have a mother, you have brothers, you have sisters. You grow up with that internal thing of loving all of them because you are seeing them every day. You sleep in the same room, some of you, you sleep, you eat together and so on. There is that attachment. So there is that feeling, even if anything goes wrong, you run back to the family is one area where you go back.
Depends on the family values.
If those values have been put into you, now the nation, our nations, the African nations is not putting those values back to us, and it's not putting those values we're not putting it in our children.
Right.
You get my point? So because those values haven't come in at a younger age, as we get older, there is, what should I do here in Ghana? What should I do here in Uganda?
I don't think that is
to me, that's how I feel. If those values are there and we grow up with those values, we will defend
the
our
values
country.
are there.
The point we should always not forget is, well, this is quite controversial, but black people, we are I won't continue.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, let me
So as a result of that,
okay,
that family values you're talking about
don't
work when they have posts.
All right.
If someone is just a normal person walking on the streets of Africa, he's respectful, no money. Put him in a commissioner of blah, 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 blah. Then the way even he walks changes. The way he talks to people changes. You can't even see him to talk to him.
Power.
You see, we love power. We love and the rest of it. So at the end of the day, how do you expect such a society to work? And you end up blaming the white man for your nemesis.
Of course.
I think what I will add to what Joe is saying is that we are adding patriotism to family values, which is totally two different things. Because each family is an individual. Everyone is an individual with their own values. Your own siblings, everyone will have their own kind of ideas. Some siblings, they don't see themselves in the same country, let alone when they travel. They may not see themselves, but let alone when they travel, you know. Some even don't talk. But what I would say is that being patriotic, in terms of, then you were talking about our education system and how to support our young people growing up to become patriotic. You know, whereby through the government support. But to have that such insight and supporting, then we also have, when Joe was talking, I was listening, it was so nice. But then we are forgetting about the way Africa is, and you're talking about values. That you will be surprised that a full minister, instead of the minister going to learn to update their knowledge and skills, they are going to seek support from a voodoo man or a witch doctor. You know, instead of them sitting in the classroom or paying for some innovation skills to update them, life skills to make them effective in their job, they are investing in a witch doctor. How do you move forward with that?
Okay, that's to add to your point. Right. Well, I'm a Christian. Okay, not to get any pastor against me, but then Christianity as a religion in itself, right, especially charismatism, has affected the way we develop. And it is influenced seriously. You see, democracy, right to religion. So the people are abusing the use of the word right to religion, and you know, the start of charismatism in Africa, and it is eating into the minds of the people, and they are not actually doing what they have to do in terms of positive thinking, because whatever it is the Lord's. And even it is influenced people so much so that they are not able to, you know, think pragmatically. Because the moment you begin to believe in spiritism, then you attribute what is right. Okay, you are selling, people are not buying it. What marketing strategy do you adapt?
That's what they're doing.
You see, then rather they either go to the voodoo man or they go to the church man. You know, the pastor. The pastors are taking advantage of it. Yeah. If you go to Ghana per se now, you know, we have all kinds of pastors.
And what pastors are they?
And someone in trouble, instead of, you see, sometimes you get people calling you Joe, this and that, and you tell them that, look, listen, go and sit at the beach somewhere, look at the sea, meditate deeply into yourself, and ask yourself that, God, what can I do? And you get a business strategy.
I want to add this, if you don't mind, when Joe finish, that the amount, the contribution that the churches, all these voodoo people are bringing. Voodoo people don't pay tax. No. They don't pay tax.
But to finish what I'm saying,
finish what you say. I want to add that.
Yes. Instead of going to sit somewhere and think about how you can improve on your life, you rather run to the church. And pray 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not even thinking of going to work. If you as an individual, you lack judgment in what you have to do to develop yourself, how do you expect the society to work? Because if you improve yourself to have a vision and aim, then you get a good job. Of course. Then you multiply the society.
You can help others and the society.
But if you go and sit in the church, I'm not saying going to church is bad. No. You see, but these are some of the symptoms that is affecting the society from it not being able to move.
Right. I want to add before you go on is that the church, people going to church, paying tithe, collections, they're paying voodoo people and also the witch doctors and all that. If you see the amount of people who are displaced in Africa, now look at this. Displaced and homeless. They don't have anywhere sleeping. People with mental illness. People with disability. The streets are full of these people. Even for the cars to go sometimes in some places is difficult. Now, the issue here is that these groups are not paying no taxes. If the government is taking responsibility and making sure that this at least 40% of these self-imposed, self-made pastors and all these witch doctors, voodoo workers, malams and all that are paying their taxes. This money can get all these people out from the street, and it will help. So the government have a responsibility, and the government are failing.
Okay, but we're back to where we started from, when the governments are failing and so on. I want to bring in something which is different from what we're going on here. A friend of mine told me once, he's from Rwanda. He served as a commissioner of police in Rwanda. He's now in New York. And he says, look, what has changed Rwanda so much to be admired by the rest of Africa now, because people are admiring what is going on in Rwanda, is the fact that President Kagame has given roles to so many women. Rwanda has more women in parliament. Rwanda has more women in responsibilities in various areas. And he banned so many churches from operating in Rwanda. They don't really have so many of these churches. They have the Christianity is there, obviously they pray, but so many of these individual churches, you can't wake up tomorrow and say, I'm saved and I'm going to open a church here. You are not allowed in Rwanda. So the way Kagame has changed Rwanda is such that from being a predominantly male-dominated society, as African societies are, he's brought in the level of women. And that has, in its own way, created a kind of a new era in Rwanda and the rest of Africa, not just in terms of peace, but in terms of even development. Now, if you go on the web and kick in Kigali or kick in any other parts of Rwanda, you see that there's a lot happening in Rwanda, which is not happening in other parts of Africa. And yet Rwanda is one of the smallest countries in Africa. Now, where am I going with this? Where I'm going is that at least they made a change, and they changed the direction, and the country is now moving in a very different direction. Can't the rest of Africa look at that and say, hang on a minute, Ghana, for example, or Angola, for example, and say, let's have candidates who are women, and we have a majority women parliamentarians in Ghana, and we have a majority women parliamentarians in Uganda. And we have, because if we change the concept as well, maybe with the women in various political roles, we may have a difference. Liberia has tried it with this lady, and there have been quite a big success there. Now, it's something that I want us to think about.
All right, okay. I understand your points seriously.
Yeah.
But what I believe is that it is not a matter of putting women in roles per se that changes a society like African society.
Okay.
Right? Okay. When the West are doing it, it's because they have gone through this paradigm of change and they have gotten to that level.
Okay.
And we Africans are picking it from the middle where we're getting our ideas crisscrossed.
All right.
Right.
All right.
What I think is that, you see, you were talking about Rwanda.
Yeah.
Okay. The basics of democracy failed us because in Africa, most countries are 4 years, 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I always advocate that 4 years must cease.
Oh, you want how many years?
Well, it depends.
Oh.
Well, I can always say, sometimes I do say 8 years, but I'm not going to go on that route now.
All right, all right.
But when you want development to come to a country, right, you need a stable government.
Of course, of course.
Okay. We're talking about Paul Kagame. I believe we all know how long he's been on, on the seat.
Yeah, yeah.
You will not expect MPP, NDC, as in the situation of Ghana, to develop like Kagame. Because he is a man with his own team. Yeah. He is a man with a vision. He has seen it. He's a CEO of the country, more or less. Yeah. And he feels that, okay, my team, my board members, let's see what we can do for this country in the next 10 years. No one is opposing him.
Oh, he's got opposition.
Well, obviously, yes, of course, but he's got opposition, but the opposition don't have that much power like he has.
Of course, yeah.
You see, and this is what I want us to look at, even before we start thinking of the women issue. Women issue, fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm always for, empowering women. Yeah. Because it used to be a bad culture for Africans where we sort of put women in the kitchen and not encourage them to go to school and all that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, when you look at our daughters going to school and what they are doing, it's fantastic.
Of course.
And we have to encourage them. There's so many women who have done good things in Africa that we have to encourage more women ministers, even presidents and all that, blah, blah, blah. But that is not the solution. The solution is that the system of governance we have, and that is why we come back to the issue of democracy. That is failed us. Because for me, I say it's failed us. There's more to be done to it before we can look into seeing whether it is becoming good or not.
The idea of bringing in women, let me show it, tell you to you now, is that there is that tendency that women tend not to be very corrupt. They may be corrupt, but where a man takes 10 billion, a woman will probably take $1 million.
There's no proof to that.
Because at the end of the day, women look at it from this way. That's why there are fewer women in prisons, because at the end of the day, when a man takes the consequences of even saying, my children, what is going to happen and all this, whereas a woman will think, okay, I've got my kids. If I go to prison for the next 10 years, no, my kids. The kids normally tends to.
I will not argue that way, but the way.
So I have that feeling that if they are given certain roles where money has been disappearing and corruption has been happening. I'll give you an example. Nigeria, when this woman was finance minister, Ngozi, when she was finance minister, there were so many things which changed. Somebody wrote a report about the changes that took place. As soon as she lost the ministry, everything went back to square one. So now, I'm only giving you
in Ghana, we had a woman who was in charge of elections in Ghana, and there was chaos.
What I would say,
you see, it's not. Sorry, though. It's not an issue. You see, it's not an issue of whether women can do better. Right. We always champion the cause of women. Number one advocate of women. Right. Okay. But for Africa to thrive, it is not the issue of women per se as a solution. But you see, it is one of the problems or solutions. But the main structure of the solution, the main stem, the roots of the solution, right, is that our system is not good. 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, 5 years, it's not helping us. So when we begin to think about the term of office, the tenure of offices, making sure that if someone comes to the to power, then the person is secured. I am secured for the next 7 years. So if I have any plan, then I can execute my plan. Right. If it is a woman, it's the same thing. If it is a man, it's the same thing. So touching the issue of women is like you're scratching the surface, but not talking about the roots.
Okay. What I would say is that the issue about women, feminist perspectives, has been going on for over the years in Africa, where we have controlled women, you know, undermine them, you know, and I think bullying and discrimination. This has been going on for over. It happens in homes where most men, you know, the way they treat their partners, you know, even their sisters. The expectation is that
domestic violence.
The expectation is that women's role in society is undermined there. Now, exploiting women in terms of positions, I think, is a way forward in some ways. But how do you encourage them into politics? Because politics in Africa is very aggressive. In other words, that the threat in it, the violence and the threat. So in many cases, not many women may show interest to go there. But if we could encourage women to participate in politics, it will help. But then we need to change our approach. Government needs to advocate and for more women, you know, in various positions and to support them and not to be discriminated against. Because one thing I know or realize from my own research is that most men in Africa are bullies. You know, in terms of because of the patriarchal upbringing, the way we are.
I agree with
that bullying in government.
You see,
it's a question.
I agree with your point, right? But you see, we're not talking about the problem of democracy in itself in Africa, right? In itself, it's a whole building, it's a whole structure.
But then you need creative ideas.
Hold on. Yes, I do agree with you. That has got pillars in it, right? To build a house, you need various pillars in order to
stand on it.
The house.
That foundation.
You need a foundation that is solid, and you need the pillars, all right, before you come to divisions of whatever. When we're looking out for ideas, like when we're looking for solutions in trying to solve the problem of the stability of the house, in order to make the house become strong and stay for the next 100 years. And we are talking about partitioning of the houses. Then we forget the structure that we have to think about this, the foundation and the pillars. Then we'll be in trouble, putting ourselves in trouble because we'll be scratching the surface. Right? I believe strongly that, you see, Africans' problems, right, is escalating just because they are not particularly educated, just like you said, educated leaders. People
is it about inexperienced leaders or because they have the qualification?
When I say education, I don't mean school education.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean school education. It could be school education could be part of it, right? But you see, that's what he said. He said in China, before you can become a state minister, they have to educate you through ministerial program.
You have
in order to be
through the
we are making.
We're not talking about experience. When we get experience, it's different.
But people have been in government here where they don't have any form of. I
don't mean education. I don't mean education.
John Major didn't have all that.
Listen, I don't mean school education. You see, that's why we have to. Our paradigm of thinking has to change, right? Okay, I don't really mean education that you have to go to school to be educated.
Yes.
It is to use any form of education.
You could have education of life.
I'm an
Yes.
educationist.
Yeah,
You see,
life,
any form of any form of learning, improving from one step to the other.
Skills.
Yes, development in terms of knowledge acquisition is part of education.
Can I jump in here? You mentioned a very good topic something good when you said something connected with the years. The 5 years, that period is too short, according to you. It's not enough. 7 years, or someone in order to develop maybe needs more years. Now, Obama had said when he was in Ethiopia during one of the interviews that the key problem that has always befelled Africa is that people who are holding positions, say for example, if a new government comes in, the permanent secretary, for example, of a ministry remains there. What has kept the Western governments surviving this long is that civil servants are supposed to work with any government, regardless of whether they support a Labour government or a Conservative government. They are supposed to work with any government because they are civil servants, and they sign a contract that they are civil servants. A new minister cannot come in, for example, and straight away says, I've sacked you. He has to have a reason to get rid of you, because you may have different opinions, but as far as developing the country is concerned, that's why America, New Zealand, all these other countries have survived, because they don't change people within the ministries. A new government comes on tomorrow, and the same people, civil servants, remain here. And the new government, you find people like some, I don't know whether Ben Foster, the man who died recently here, he had served nearly 8 to 9 prime ministers here in the UK as the top civil servant. So Africa could learn from that, in a sense that the biggest problem we normally have, when Museveni came in, for example, practically the entire structure of government changed. In Ghana now,
what you
it's
are
something
saying,
similar.
What you are saying is not,
because
they get vote for them to be there. They are not there because of their own.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying members of parliament. No,
but
I'm not saying
let
me saying civil servants who are working under the ministry. If you are, for example, given a job as a civil servant, you may be a permanent secretary, you may be a person working in that ministry.
Yeah, I understand.
So that person doesn't change. I'll give you a small example, like the studio where we are. If you have a cleaner, you have a tea lady, and so on. Now, the moment a new person buys the company, he says, I'm getting rid of the tea lady and everybody. With the government, that's not how it happens. You can't get rid of anybody. They all remain part of the government, the new government, a new setup, because they help with the continuity that in Africa, that's why we have been going wrong.
But it doesn't
get rid of everybody, and it's like you're starting from scratch.
In Ghana,
in
Ghana, I work in the civil service after school before I came here.
All right.
Right. And what you're saying really, I would say about 90% the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because when they say, you see, the civil service of Ghana, which I believe it is, if it is being used by other countries, is such that it is independent of
from the government.
Yes.
Yeah, it's meant to be like that.
There are positions within the civil service where it is being people are being appointed by the government.
Yeah.
And when a new government comes, it changes them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the ministers.
Yeah.
But in the structure of the civil service, from chief director down to the lowest person in the ministry, no one changes them. Unless you decide to align yourself to a political party and it becomes so obvious, then your position becomes threatened.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I see. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
But it's not what it is.
Yes. Usually, when a minister comes to power, a minister comes to office, where the change is the security and the secretaries.
Yeah.
So those ones is more or less accepted.
Okay.
But the real people doing the administrative and the clerical job, they are always there.
Yeah, but
that's why when you go to
that is where Africa has been going wrong. Because even if your president is going to be in office for 4 years or 5 years, if the civil service remains the same, the plans which were left say for example, they are going to build an estate. Now, the estate had already started and is progressing. A new government comes into place. It doesn't mean that the estate which is being built, for example, the roads that are being built, won't go ahead. In Africa, that's where the problem is.
Well,
the
we
new
are
government
not, we are not
in,
talking about reflection here, because the
government
thing is,
comes in and everything changes, and the next thing you know, the road is not going.
But they are right, because the issue here is that Joe was talking about in terms of civil servant, what it is, in terms of performances as well. You have not spoken about that. Now, the issue here is that the performance of civil servant is a question. And if you see the way some are, when you come into power, you may say to yourself that, oh, you may have to bring changes, because these are not people who produce, who bring that changes that you want. Yeah, but the thing is, there is a problem here in terms of senior managerial level. Yeah. If it's not yielding results, why do you want to keep them? Yeah, but look, what it should happen, what we should say is that it should be performance related. Yeah. You know? Okay. Yes, performance related. Whereby if you are the executive or the director, where that the civil servant is not performing, then obviously you're not going to keep your post. In the UK here, there is no way you'll be able to keep your post. Yeah, but because the thing is, in Africa, people will keep their positions for years,
and they're still not performing.
And they're not performing. And this is where the issue is, that these things is what the government needs to look at and bring that positive changes to make it more performance related. If not, then you have to privatize it. Because people work differently. Listen, I'll tell you something. In the ministries in Ghana, go there 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Most of them are drunk and they go lunchtime. They go to lunch with beer. You can't do that.
Well, we used to work there. It's true. It's
really
true.
They go to lunch.
You go home at 2 o'clock and they don't even. Yeah, it's true.
They go to lunch. They go to lunch with beer and Guinness and drinking other alcohol, and they are drunk. They can't perform. And I don't know why they're not being sending them home.
Okay. You see
that mentality.
So in relation to this issue of democracy, right? In relation to this issue of democracy. Okay. That is why I blatantly say it is this disappointed us. Okay. Right. Because it is the change of government that is bringing all these problems. Because there's too much, there's frequent.
So you believe what you want a government to stay for the 10 to 15 years or something like that?
No. The frequency as we change the government affects the development of the country. Right? Because if a typical political party comes to power, well, obviously, they are in opposition. That is why shadow ministry is always created. For you to understudy what the government is doing, so that you can also organize yourself. As soon as you come to power, you can become a government. We understand that. But sometimes, as a shadow, you are not able to see what is the realistic
happening within the government.
In the Western countries, it helps them because shadow ministries oversee equally, because they are all the select committees and all that.
It's not in public domain. That's the thing. That's the problem. You see, I want us to go, because I know time is limited, and we have there's quite a lot. It's a heated debate. It's very interesting, you are all both very passionate about it, and I'm very, and I wish it could continue for much longer. There are issues we normally overlook. Issues like tribes, for example. We have discussed women, but there's a tribal issue here where a particular tribe comes in. If the Ashanti comes in, for example, and everybody comes in, government becomes an Ashanti man. Or an Igbo man comes in and everybody from behind the man becomes an Igbo man, not only in civil service but in government. A Muganda man comes in Uganda tomorrow and everybody becomes. So that in its own has an impact on the development. Maybe that is where Africa is failing. If we were all, for example, there are no Igbo man, there's no Yoruba man, there's no Ashanti man. If we all speak the same language like the English here, and so the Spanish or the others, maybe that is again where the problem is in Africa, in the sense that the tribal issue has its own impact from long time ago, when we've been fighting each other, and then the language we're talking are different. Maybe that has an impact as well, because they don't have that impact here. So it's easier for them. Everybody speaks the same language.
You are making, I think, is here. I mean, discrimination and being stereotyping, making assumptions is here.
No, I'm
it's here, but it's termed indifferently. So because of the language and the term used, you may think that it's not here. We call it tribalism. And here is discrimination in terms of being either racist or not liking, because the Irish may not like the Scottish. The Scottish may not like people from Wales, you know. So it does happen. But you know what? As a way forward, you know, if you have a leader who is very creative with their skills, I mean, due to intermarriages, you know, if you notice, Royce was married, Ewe was married to, married to Asante, Asante, you know, Akufo-Addo, you know, married to a different person, you know, even our Asante king, you know, is married to someone from Achim. What do you say? Achin. You know, so all this is there. But now the issue here for us is this, that the skills that you bring in to manage these things is what is important. If you are able to show good leadership, you know, and not discriminating against people because of their travel, where they're from, and or you focusing building your own town and forgetting other places, then you're making a mistake. But if you are in power and we say to ourselves that, you know, we are building that country, the areas that need development, we are building. So irrespective of where I was born, irrespective of where I come from, but the African leaders, this is our problem. They will do all the roads and the areas where they come from first, then neglect other areas. Then it becomes a problem. If we have strong leadership with good skills, you know, to be able to manage these things, then it will be minimized. And also our education system, to make everybody become patriotic for the country, not because of your tribal ranks.
But that is where exactly the issue. That's the issue I need us to discuss about, because I've covered it in a number of times where I've been as a journalist, and it has always come up. It has always come up, Africa Today and all the other areas in the newspapers where I've been when discussing the continent. That issue has always come up. How do we become patriotic? Because it takes long for someone to be a patriotic. It takes, you know, somebody may be a multimillionaire in Africa, for example. The man wonders. Bill Gates and all the other billionaires are wondering. Nigeria, for example, have got billionaires, people who have a lot of money, but they've never built a school, they've never built a hospital in their areas, they've never built anything there. Even in my country now, we've got people who are extremely wealthy. No, patriotism. If you are a patriotic and you can do it, you can say, hey, I can build a school in that area. We need people who have the heart for the areas.
My point is, you see, developing patriotism, there's a lot of things that goes through. It's not, I don't believe in getting money.
It's not inborn.
No, it's inborn. I don't believe in getting money and you going to build a school. Because someone, as part of the government, job is to build a school. You see, it is that kind of mentality that is destroying Africa. That when I build a house in wherever, then I have to do the road. So I buy my 4x4 and the road is not good, and someone tells me, why is it that you have your 4x4 and the road is not good? It's the fault of the government to do the road.
You see.
Hold on.
Okay.
It's just an example.
Right.
Because we do not have a vision in Africa as a whole. When you go to America, it's American dream. The British people has theirs. The word Britain, I'm a Brit, that pride.
It's inbuilt.
It's inbuilt.
You
grow with it. They don't tell you to be singing you sing God Save the Queen, but it is not even enough. You see a natural image. You see, someone somewhere as a leader has designed a system in order to have that kind of patriotism in your heart. No one is designing Africa because we don't have the leaders. So who is leading us?
No, is it, Joe, is it about patriotism or is it about being creative in our ideas? Because
no, it's about, you see, it's
when you're not
patriotic, you don't patriotism. Let me finish the point. Patriotism, it's not got to do with creativity per se, to me. But patriotism is designed by our leaders. In order for us to have trust, if you work in a company and you are not happy, you never love the job. You always pray the day you leave the job. But you like the money.
Of course.
So when you live in Ghana and you're not happy with the country, you always yearn to travel.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right? So that was the basis of what I said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that patriotism is not designed by our leaders to make us have that confidence. Right? You see, as Rwanda is coming up.
Yeah. Okay,
patriotism is naturally developing.
Yeah.
Chinese people used not to live in their country.
Of course, they wanted to live abroad. Yeah.
Yes, but now Chinese is becoming a country, so now they are beginning to feel comfortable.
The billionaires now in China.
Thank you very much.
My point is that
designed by the leaders.
Yeah, exactly.
Not me.
Yeah.
Okay. My point is that the leadership is to understand that individuals support in this country. You go to America, in the Western world. Many people support projects that are not involved in government. For example, charity. They will die and leave their money to do something, make a difference in the community. They will donate money monthly to support projects which builds the country. Now, all these things is done by the government by encouraging the people to do this.
That, I agree.
Now, we have a charity commission which oversees it. The national lottery money is used to do things, to support things, activities in the community. Now, when you talk about African countries,
is an example.
Yes, African countries, as an example. You know, not many African countries, the leaders or the presidents have these ideas about using this innovation, to encourage things.
People to do that.
You know,
they have the ideas. You see, our leaders, right? They have the ideas, but they are caught up in petty problems.
This is what I'm saying.
That is where they are not able to blast out. Petty problems means that where they come to power, right? And they are thinking of, okay, before you become a president of the country, if we think about the milestone to become a president, the money you have to pay, the money you have to raise, and all that, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, automatically you become corrupt. So the moment you come to power, you got 4 years to pay all those monies that you collected. So at the end of the day, you see, you wouldn't have the chance to be able to sort your problem out. Because they know, but they can't do it. If you take my country as an example, Akufo-Addo, yes, okay. He's come to power, first 2 years. People have started insulting him already. Okay, how can you use 2 years to make a country like Rwanda? It's not possible. So he needs more time. But he's only got 2 years for another election.
Okay.
1 year of the election campaign in Africa, there's no job. I lived in Africa before. I know how it is.
Okay.
So no development takes place. The country is thrown into chaos. Everybody is campaign frenzy. And that is how it happens in Africa. And the reason why we're not developing is some of these things. Because 4 years is not helping us.
This is where my question is. Do we have wrong people in politics? Because
it is the structure itself that innovation, is not good. The foundation put is not good. It's not the people living in it.
Listen, if you read about the history of this country where we are, United Kingdom, if you read about the history, and you read about how the middle class was developed, how the Labour Party came to power, how the Conservatives were there over the years trying to make sure that the billionaires, the landowner, remained rich, and the Labour came in, and the two parties have come in, and suddenly there is a middle class that come in, and the middle class that came in is the powerhouse of development in the UK. Now, America, a similar thing happened with those who migrated to America. Australia, you're looking at the structure which comes about because you have those people who are in the middle, who are not billionaires, but they are rich. They are rich, they have a rich heart, they can donate, they have enough money. Even when government taxes, you always see, even in this year's budget, they were saying, hey, we don't tax the middle class a lot. Because if we tax the middle class, there won't be any money going down the drain. Nobody will be thinking, you can tax the rich, the extra rich, fine. They can pay the money, but then their numbers are not the same as those in the middle. Those in the middle are the majority. And then, of course, the lower ones are too many, they are millions. But if you have, say, for example, a certain people earning a certain amount of money, and they are there in the middle, their power is what creates wealth. So a similar thing can happen in Africa, in a sense that, I'll give you an example. A number of Sudanese basketball players who happen to have gone to America are now helping in Sudan. They have started charities in Sudan. Some are even building houses in Sudan. In a sense that they are looked at, they are giving back something to the people of Sudan.
This is what I was talking about.
Hang on. They're giving back something to the people of Sudan. Now, a similar thing, Pochino, there's an American boxer in Philippine Islands. His name is, I think, Paquino. They call him
Nani Pacquiao.
Nani Pacquiao has built an estate and is donated to the poor. He earned a lot of money when he fought Mayweather Jr. He's a billionaire. He's earned too much money to such an extent that he's given back. Yeah. Okay, he's not a billionaire, but he's got a lot of money. Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is that if Africa gets such people who are existing, we have. But that heart has to come in. When we have such people, now such people could start something slowly, and it builds up. Then people like us and the others can see from that example.
Come from the top. The thing is,
not necessarily.
The government. So. Yes, in terms of you need policies which encourage these areas of work. Yeah, you need policies. You as a government need people that encourages this area of work. Without that, people mind may not be there. Okay. And what attraction in terms of taxations, what attraction support do you give these people to be able to do these things? Do they see the difference? Do they see that you as a government is helping the community to make that difference and supporting them to do it? Places like Ghana, people may build, you may see them build their own house and use the money uselessly, carelessly, rather than investing in people. And this is an area that we need. If the government start making policies where the churches and, like I was saying, and all other things that they are self-made, making those money for themselves, and start taxing them, those money can be used, and then other people will see that you are doing something to make a difference. They will support you in that area. But if you are not doing that, why would they? And
in support of that, you see, in support of that, I don't believe in a development where people make their money and they have to. Well, you can always go and pay back. Okay. That is not counted as something that the government should plan on. Right? People living abroad, taking their money back to Ghana and all that, doing the investment and all that, it's not what the government should count on. That is not what is supposed to bring development to the country. What is supposed to bring development to the country is what the government in itself as a body sits down to plan. You see, have a vision for the countries and make sure that you have a way to execute the vision. The problem we have in Africa is we do not have a government with vision, and we do not have government with a way to execute the vision. It's one thing thinking about doing something and another really doing it, right? Because most often our leaders just come to power. And the moment they come to power, not because they really want to do anything. No. Listen, for me, I always say that. One, the leaders are even too old. Most leaders in Africa are too old. Okay. We need to start thinking of our 30-something guys. The 30-something women. We need them. They are young, they have the blood, they know. You see, listen, gone are the days where we were not able to read small prints. These guys, when we are able to pick these guys from abroad, where we've used our money in Ghana to educate them, they come abroad and come and work. So many of them loitering about here, taking good jobs. There's a guy being deported back to Ghana. He can be used.
Of course, The
banker, he can be used.
The banker, but
yes.
He wants to come
you see,
back.
There's so many of these that is there. But we end up voting for old people, and at the end of the day, well, I don't, not to speak against any old man in but that is the truth. You see, because if you're old, if you hit a particular age, my point, if you hit a particular age, tomorrow is diabetes, the next one is high blood pressure, the next one is I can't walk. Obviously, you can wake up at 4.
I want to add this important point, Joe, before we do it. Now, one of the main issues that has affected Africa is our debt reduction strategy. You know, and the way we negotiate business, you know, in terms of import and export. Now, This debt has been going on for over decades, years, and we still have a problem in terms of negotiating business in Africa.
Okay.
Why is it that we are not self-sufficient, you know, having all these resources, and we have people who doesn't know in terms of the economics of the seriousness of the economics that we are going in, you know, and they just go in, do business deals, which affect us. If you look at
it's
our
not
gold,
because of their stomach, isn't it?
Can I say
if you look at our resources, we are not getting much from our resources. And we have all these resources, but we don't have much from it. Why do we hire resources rather than buy those resources that will make benefit for machinery? You know, for instance, you know, if you look at Ghana gold, we are not making that much from it.
Because
the oil, we're not making much from it.
Because the articulators, because the tipper trucks, and all those kind of other equipment is imported from abroad. And that is where the problem is. You see, I always talk about the structure. When you think about the foundation and the structure, it's very important. You can never, ever rule anything, or you can never set up any without setting up a very good foundation and the structure. If you don't do that, you will definitely make a mistake. And our leaders did not structure inclined.
Can I say something here? One of the things that we keep forgetting, and that the fact that the human resource, of course, which involves the presidents and the other people, is also very important, because if you lack the proper human resource to come in with the ideas, you've just brought something here at the table, which is so good, and that is the fact that people who are negotiating, they don't really negotiate with their heart. No, they don't. They negotiate with their stomachs rather than with their heart. Now, there's an idea which came from South Africa, and I think Namibia has used it to such a very effective way. When they are going to employ people in certain administrative role, they travel around the world. Australia is doing it, and I think in New Zealand. They come here, they advertise in newspapers. In fact, the former police commissioner of United Kingdom was an Australian, but the way they got him was that they advertised in the newspapers in Australia and in others, and then eventually the government said, oh, this man has the best qualities, and eventually he came here. So now Britain's doing that, Australia and all the other countries in other top Commonwealth countries, they do it. Now Africa should practically see from that and say, okay, we may get a Ugandan who is a very good economist, and he comes to Ghana and he takes a post in Ghana. Or we may get a Ghanaian in Uganda who is so good, we advertise.
The head of the banking institution, governor of the Bank of England, is
a Canadian.
Is a Canadian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that maybe the whole structure of failure should come in a sense that
Steve,
we should get people from.
You see, this is good. This is good. But look, so excuse me to say, I will say it's a theory. Right. Listen. Do you think that Akufo-Addo's government is going to bring Steve Malingwa from South Africa? I mean, he would have been made straight away by the opposition.
Okay.
And that is why you see we are not sensitized. It's just because he wouldn't even try. Maybe he knows he wants to try. But at the end of the day, he's not even able to try because he's only got 4 years.
But
I don't follow the leader is the problem.
I don't think it's the 4 years. We have a parliament. I think that our constitution and our way of thinking needs to change. Not only in government,
we
but
have the parliament.
In universities.
The parliament is equally a 4-year parliament.
Even at universities.
The parliament is not. Listen, look at this parliament. This parliament is different. You see, the mistake we're doing is that we cannot compare ourselves to the West.
We are not comparing ourselves, but we feel that we can also be creative in our ideas. In the sense that if you look at the way our structure is, it's not only in government that we have to be looking at employing people. We need to be copied, you know, just like imitation. Learn from the best. Now we realize that in the UK here, you know, they bring in people in like the skilled labor. Why don't Africans start doing that? Employing people who are skillful,
getting skilled labor to come in.
To got skilled labor to come in to do certain work for us.
One minister brought his son or daughter work.
His son.
And the problem is son. And the problem is that why did you bring your son and say, hey, listen, this man is in the UK or America or wherever doing this particular job, working for someone. I have educated him so much. You people have invested in me, and I have have invested in my son,
yeah.
and I want my son to come and help the country. And you people say no.
Yeah.
No, that one is an ethical issue. It's ethical issues in the sense that you are bringing a family member, which then makes it. I think we have to sign that agreement that don't bring family member, bring in someone from outside.
I think it's extremely difficult to mention democracy in Africa without having the passion. I just want to say I've enjoyed the passion both of you have as far as Africa is concerned, and I wish African leaders could watch this program and learn something, especially as far as leadership is concerned. It has been wonderful. I know it can never, maybe at some point I may invite you back here so that we go on, because this topic is quite difficult to, I just want to end on a note of thanks for, both of you for having come to the studio to discuss this issue, and I hope you come back next time for us. And for the viewers, those who have been on air and watching us live, I hope you've made your contribution in terms of writing to us and letting us know how the program has gone. Once again, thank you very, very much for coming to the studio, and I hope we'll be together next time with all our viewers. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting, yeah.
Interesting topic.
Yeah, it is.
It will never finish. This one is gone all day.
Yeah, I know. It needs the whole day. It needs the whole day.
Yes.
I know. It's a very